See if everything's up and running okay. Okay, so we are live, we are recording. Okie doke. So welcome to the AKG Health Team Christmas Wellbeing webinar of 2025. Let me just quickly open up the presentation so you can all see what I'm going to be talking about.
How many people have we got in at the minute?
It just says 2 in the live section, so I won't start.
Just give it.
I was thinking
1 minute.
Yeah,
just a few more minutes, just because we've got more attendees than that. So
well, I'll just leave the main page on for now, just for a couple of minutes while people come in. Can you see that all right, Carl? Has that come up for you?
Yeah, that's all good for me. Let's give it a few more minutes. Welcome. Just waiting for more people to join at the moment.
Got a couple more people coming in. Yeah, should we give it till 2 minutes past? Give it another minute and then we'll get going, shall we?
Sounds good, yeah. We might get a few more join us. We kind of go through the presentation, which is good. Just see.
People can register right up until the last moment, can't they? So hopefully, even as we're going, people might join.
Yeah. So we should have had some Christmas music playing.
Yeah, we should have, shouldn't we? Like on the telephone when you're waiting for to get through to customer service at Christmas.
Yeah.
Customer service music, I call it.
Yeah.
Okay. Right, shall we make a start?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Okay, I'll just do a quick introduction again. I was introducing a little bit early. So welcome to the AKG Health Christmas Support Webinar or Christmas Wellbeing Webinar 2025. I hope everyone can see the slides all right. We will try to monitor the chat function in case there are any questions as we go. But if not, there will be a sort of designated time at the end for questions if anyone has any. Okay. So the festive period, it can be happy and exciting time, but we know it can bring about a lot of stress as well. Stress, pressure, and emotional strain. So this is why we're running this webinar today to provide you with support and resources over the festive period. So this webinar essentially hopes to bring about support and comfort and practical guidance to help overcome or understand those challenges a little better. And we will be covering budgeting and money saving tips, loneliness, grief and homelessness, low mood, anxiety and stress management, and the impact of social media at Christmas. And again, there will be contact numbers and resources and a time for questions towards the end. Okay, so we'll move on to the first topic, budgeting at Christmas. Now, I'm not going to lecture because I know that most people know how to budget. We're all doing it anyway. Given the expense of life, just existing as humans, it's difficult enough. We're always budgeting every day, usually. So these are just tips and guidance. If you already know them and you're already doing it, that's absolutely fine. But if not, these are just some basics that you can take on board if it's helpful and if you need to. Cost cutting ideas. This is so difficult. We know it's difficult at any stage in life, but especially at Christmas. But it's about trying to make Christmas as stress-free as possible. So thinking about the gift ideas, what can we do that's perhaps like fun and wholesome experiences looking at like creating time, creating memories rather than having to spend all of that money. I know there is going to be money we need to spend, but on the side, can we think of anything else that is free or low cost that we can do as well? Secret Santas, they're always good because people don't know who it is that's got them that gift. So that can sometimes take a bit of pressure off the spending. Um, do look into things like eBay, Facebook Marketplace, things like Vinted. Charity shops are always really good around Christmas time because what we notice is that people are clearing the houses, aren't they? Trying to make space for Christmas. So you might find bargains and on clothes, toys, things like that towards the Christmas period. So do keep your eyes out because you will find some good things. As tempting as it is, if you are in financial difficulties, or you're struggling at this time of year, these buy now, pay later schemes, we may see an increase in the advertising of them, but try to avoid them if you can. Try not to give in to the temptation because while it might alleviate some short-term stress and provide that bit of money to buy those gifts, you're only going to be left with that in the new year, so you've got to be thinking of ways then to pay that back, which could cause more stress and anxiety in the long run. So try to avoid them if you can. And recycle gifts from previous years. Now, this is easier, obviously, if you have children. I remember my mum and dad used to say to me that from the age of about 2 to 6, they recycled this one gift that I would play with and then forget about. So if you do have children that you could do that with, it's an idea. If they forget about something, you could quickly take it away and wrap it back up. Obviously, if they're into the gift, then you can't do that. But if it's something you think they're not showing any interest in, you could, stealthily take it away and perhaps consider it for next year's Christmas. But again, as well, you can be open and honest with the people that are gifting. But if you get gifts from people, and you don't necessarily want or need them, be honest with that person and say, look, can I use this? Can I recycle this and pass it on to someone who I know will appreciate and like this gift? You'll obviously appreciate the gift itself and, the fact that you've received that. But, if you are struggling and you know someone would benefit, then you can always have an honest conversation with that person about whether you can pass it on. And family traditions as well. We don't all have them, but if your family likes board games, going for walks, if you do that kind of thing, that can sort of take the focus away from the material and the gift giving side. See if there's any way you can go, any local activities that are free, walking, like I said, the board games, telling jokes, or playing games like I love the game Would You Rather. It's all, you have to think about the audience and who it's around as to how you would tailor the questions. But that's a really fun game. And what comes to mind as well, there's also a game that was, I think it was like trending on social media a few years back, where you put the After Eight mint on your head, and you have to put your hands behind your back and then try and get the mint into your mouth without your hands. Now it's messy, but it's always entertaining. So if you've got a pack of After Eight mints lying around anywhere, definitely consider that game. So yeah, like I said, it's fun, but it's cost cutting. It's trying to where you can, where you've got the resources to do so. You can try and divert the attention away to memory building rather than the gift side of things, the material side of Christmas. And the Christmas dinner, again, we all know about how the cost of food is going up every year. Do shop around. If you're the sort of person that goes to different supermarkets for different things, like many of us do, you will see the deals. But this is just an idea. This is just a breakdown of what we found. That this is all up to date. So this is price at the moment. And it just gives you a rough idea of the things you can buy. So if you were to buy those there, so we've got the Tesco turkey, serves 5 to 6 people, £16.50. And then obviously we've got the list of veg and the sides, the gravy. If you were to buy that exact list there, to serve 4 people, it would work out around £6.58 a portion. And if you were serving 6 people, it would be £4.39 a portion. So you can make things stretch. It's difficult, and it's obviously going to be more expensive than it was last year, but it's still manageable. Um, and as well, what I did note down, because I saw an advertisement on the TV, is that this time of year, running up to Christmas, I know that a lot of supermarkets do I think it's like the 8 pence or the 15 pence vegetables, isn't it, towards Christmas? So again, you could make it even cheaper. This veg is just normal, it's not the Christmas specials. So if you can shop around, I think Morrison's, Tesco, and Asda do the 10 or 15 pence veg, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So that's really good. And as well, if you've got leftovers, this is something I do as well. If you're making Sunday dinners, if you're doing a lot of veg in between now and Christmas anyway, just because that's what you eat usually, if you have leftovers, freeze them as well. Because as long as they're frozen, you can get them out Christmas Day and cook them as if you would, normal bought frozen veg. So just think about how you can, keep things to a minimum. If you've got the budget for more than even what's on the list, then great. But just keep in mind that you can do it for less. There is an app as well. There's a few apps. It depends on the area that you live in, but there are like free food apps as well. So do look on like Facebook, on the community pages, things like Olio, Too Good to Go, those sorts of things. There are deals to be had, and there are people that are willing to give food away as well if you are really struggling. Okay. I think that's it in terms of the Christmas dinner. Again, I don't want to sort of preach too much about cost because we're already doing what we can. So, that's the price at the moment, and yeah, see what deals are on. But I know Lidl also do the cheaper veg towards Christmas as well. Okay. So Carly, who's one of our health coaches, I didn't introduce us properly at the beginning, actually. So Carly is one of the health coaches, and I'm the health team facilitator for AKG Health. Carly's going to be moving on to the connections at Christmas.
Yeah. And just sort of to mention that we do have a Christmas budget planner. It's not our resource, but we'll put in the chat. We've got a couple of resources that we're going to put in the chat towards the end of the presentation, just if you did want to take that away, download it, use it. I think you can actually edit it and type in like on the actual PDF. So it is quite useful. Okay, so I just want to talk about connections at Christmas, and it's important for several emotional, social, and even physical reasons to have that connection at Christmas. And it's a key part of supporting our well-being at this time of year. As Kirsty said, it can be joyful, it can be cheerful, but it can also bring a lot of stress, a lot of pressure, and can also bring in a sense of loneliness as well. But if we take time to connect with family, with friends, neighbours, community, and even connect with ourselves, it can help us feel more grounded and supported at this time of year. So just a little disclaimer, we'll be talking briefly about grief and bereavement as it's a really important topic this time of year. So that's just going to be on our next slide. Thank you, Kirsty. So we focus on joy, we focus on celebration, we focus on togetherness, but it's really important to talk about grief and loneliness during this time of year because Christmas can make painful emotions feel even heavier at this time of year, especially when we're surrounded by messages in the media, from other people that everyone should be happy. And it's that pressure that, we're often feeling at this time of year. But if we start by speaking openly about our feelings, we're reminding other people around us that, they're not alone and it's okay that we do struggle. We acknowledge that grief and loneliness, we acknowledge it, we create the space for the healing and the understanding and the compassion as well that we need if we are going through something difficult. Ultimately, we want to make Christmas, collectively a time where people feel seen and supported no matter what you're going through. So it can be felt, so loneliness can be felt when we're by ourselves, But I think it's also really important to remember that it can be felt when we're around others. We can be in the busiest, social gathering and feel completely alone, because it's important to remember that it is an emotion in itself. So it can be heightened at this time of year because of all the social gatherings, the social events, things that we are invited to, things that we're not invited to. Whether we go, whether we don't, we can still have that sense of loneliness as well. Sometimes sticking to a routine, even during Christmas, can be really helpful. It helps with the motivation, it helps with our purpose, it helps with, what we know is our just main coping strategies. And I think that's a big reason why people struggle this time of year, is because you're out of that normal routine. You're out of doing the things that do the things that are good for you and for what you're connecting with. So it can be difficult if you've lost family and friends. Christmas is that reminder, especially if you every year you get together with your family and friends, and there is that person that maybe not be there this year or in previous years, and grief looks different for everyone. So it's really important to remember that there is no normal way to be. There's no normal way to grieve, and there's no normal way to feel. Reaching out is really important. So just that gentle reminder that connecting with people, family, friends, and even if you feel like you don't have those social connections or that family and friends connections, there are charities out there to support as well. Cruise is a really good one that we often signpost for bereavement support, in the health team. This period you talk to, and they are trained volunteers if you are struggling specifically with grief. And that is really, especially with thinking about it is having that detrimental effect on your mental health. Grief around this time of year is normal, and that's something that you need to sort of validate within yourselves. But if it's starting to have that really significant effect, it's starting to impact your ability to do your day-to-day activities, consider a referral to talking therapies for yourself, or speaking to your employment coach, about a referral to the health team. And it's something that we can support with, getting that process started. But the talking therapies is via an NHS website, and everyone in the local area, in your local area, you can find your talking therapies website, and you can do that self-referral online. It's a very simple process. So just make self-reflection. How am I feeling at the moment? Is it starting to is my feelings more negative, and is it starting to impact on my day-to-day activities and my day-to-day thought process as well? And it's just really important to remember that this time of year, if this is bringing up negative emotions or difficulties, that you are not alone with that feeling as well. Thank you, Kirsty. So what can you do to feel connected at Christmas? So at Christmas, feeling connected is important, but it doesn't happen on its own. So you have to be that person. You have to make that positive step. Simple things can bring a real sense of togetherness. So reaching out, being the first one to make that step and, send that message, make that call, write those letters, if that's something you feel would, bring a sense of connection. Taking part in community events makes you feel part of something bigger, helping others through volunteering, acts of kindness. It reminds us that connection grows from generosity. So even though we're doing something for others, it's that feeling that we get with ourselves from doing the actual act itself. So creating small traditions as well can bring comfort, and it can bring meaning. I did this workshop face-to-face a couple of years ago, and I absolutely loved hearing about everyone's Christmas tradition. So if you did want to share a Christmas tradition that you find special with your friends or family, or even yourself, feel free to share on the chat. I really love hearing them. But sometimes the most powerful connection is the connection we create with ourselves as well. So making Christmas feel warmer, more meaningful, and a little less lonely is going to have that impact on our well-being in a positive way. So have a little think to yourselves, is there anything you've done in the past? Is there anything you can do this Christmas that can build that sense of connection? And this sort of presentation, I guess in general, but this slide in particular, just to get you thinking, what could I do? Even if you're feeling pretty happy at this time of year, pretty cheerful, there's always that thing we can do to bring it to the next level as well. Thank you, Kathy.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to move on to homelessness at Christmas. Okay. Again, this can be a difficult topic, and it's never nice to think about or discuss, but we are increasingly faced with this, whether it's our own friends and family that are experiencing this, or just whether we're out in our own towns and cities, we are seeing an increase in homelessness. And just a little statistic for you there, that I haven't got the data for 2025, but during the Christmas of 2024, there were around 350,000 homeless people in the UK, which was up 14% from 2023. So, by trend, I suppose we can assume that it's gone up again, this Christmas 2025. Don't know what percent it would have increased by, but again, I think it's safe to assume that there has been an increase. And there are many reasons for homelessness. Years ago, I think everyone could be a little bit guilty of making assumptions around homelessness. Stereotyping, assuming the reasons why someone became homeless. But we shouldn't do that because there are so many reasons. Um, Increasing rent prices, lack of housing that's available to us, health concerns, if you've had to drop out of work because of either physical or mental health, and you've no longer got the funds to pay rent or your mortgage, relationship breakdowns. There are lots of reasons. So yeah, it's just about, trying to think, why is this person in this situation as well? And what is it that we can do if we want to provide some support and help? If you are, it is difficult for people that are street homeless. So I say street homeless because we've got people that are homeless that are perhaps sofa surfing, and going from friends or families' homes. And then we've got the people who are living on the streets that spend the time on the streets to sleep there as well. So if you're out and about and you do see anyone that appears to be sleeping on the streets, or living on the streets, and you are concerned about them, you can call a service called StreetLink, and the number is there. But we can provide that after if you want it as well. So again, depending on what city, what town you live in, there are local like soup kitchens, different charities that support the homeless. If you want to be more involved in this and you want to provide some support, just have a quick tap into Google. How can I support homeless in my area? And I'm sure loads of things will come up. But yeah, donating like warm clothing over the Christmas period to homeless charities, volunteering at soup kitchens or providing the soup and the bread, things like that. So there are things you can do if you want to get involved. Okay. Again, I know not everyone's going to have their own health and resources to do that, but if you can, if it's something like Carly said about making connections at Christmas, if this is something that you feel you would benefit from as well, not just giving your time and energy, but it's something to consider. Okay. And we've just got a page there for support services for the homeless. There are some different charities there. Centrepoint, um, Emos. I don't know how you pronounce that actually. I've not come across that. I'm not too familiar with that one. Crisis, St Mungo's, and the Salvation Army. On the resources page that we will distribute, there will be a few contact numbers on there as well. But like I said, we can incorporate more of these if people want more information on the homelessness charities and services. Okay. So there's no questions in the chat function yet. So I have been keeping an eye out. So yeah, if there is anything, like I said, we will have a bit of time at the end as well. But otherwise, we'll move on to Carly's section again, Wellbeing at Christmas.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, Kirsty, that sometimes there is that big push around this time of year because of sort of suicide rates and mental health issues going up this time. There is that push with charities, the council of this time of year to support the homeless even more. So there's a lot more going on this time of year is also really important to remember. But yes, well-being at Christmas. So I guess we have a kind of connection filters into well-being. We wanted a specific section just on well-being and really focusing on that sort of mental health side of things at this time of year. Managing our well-being during the Christmas season is just as important as celebrating it. We're dealing with busy schedules, financial worries. Some of us could be struggling with loneliness or just, struggling with the expectation. I've been working with someone at the minute who said they just can't stand how fake Christmas is. And it made me think a bit actually, if being congruent is really important, just being genuine and celebrating it however you feel. Some people are like little elves and some people are not. So it's important not to have that expectation on yourself and just being true to yourself. So taking care of our mental health, it helps us to enjoy the season. It helps us to enjoy the Christmas period in a healthy and a more balanced way as well. So we're just going to talk about that now. So have a think. How does Christmas make you feel physically? How does it make you feel mentally? Are you an elf? Are you a Scrooge? Take your time to ask yourself these questions. You can feel it physically in your body as well when you think of certain events or things around Christmas period as well. It's really important to remember it's okay to feel how you feel. It's okay to feel that if you're stressed, if you're not enjoying yourself, it's taking away that pressure and just accepting your feelings for what they are at that moment. Can really help sort of move through any of those kind of unwanted negative emotions. Trying not to feel obliged to be happy, buy the best gifts, cook the best dinner, and financial pressures can become very intense this time of year. And it's really important to not add to the burnout and not put yourself in any of those kind of financial in financial debt because of one day a year essentially, and celebrating it like Kirsty said at the start, just in those small ways where you don't even need to sort of spend any money. So just some gentle reminders there. So the next slide is some statistics as well. And I think these were from last year, but I think we did cross-reference them and they're the same. So it's obviously a ongoing trend. So 54% of people are worried about their mental health or the mental health of someone they know. 26% of people say Christmas makes their mental health issues worse. 83% of people feel lonely at Christmas, which is such a high number and quite difficult actually to hear. And it's 80 to 81% of people confess to Christmas stress. I confess to Christmas stress. 47% of people experience financial stress at Christmas as well. So these are quite significant statistics and seem to be like a trend. Every year there's sort of the similar numbers and figures coming through. So just thought that would be important to acknowledge. So the next slide, just wanted to really kind of pull it back to basics when it comes to wellbeing. The NHS 5 Steps to Wellbeing initiative is just those simple ways to boost mental health, improve happiness, strengthen overall well-being. So connection, spending time, family and friends, community, building those relationships, putting energy and effort into that, being active, moving your body regularly, doing exercise or gentle walks if you struggle with mobility, or just any activity that you enjoy that is to do with moving your body. Taking notice is all about mindfulness, so being mindful and present in the moment of thoughts, feelings, and just the world and everything that's happening around you. Do something kind for others, whether it's helping, volunteering, or simply offering support. and keep learning is trying new activities or taking on new challenges. It's all about keeping your mind active. So I just wanted to put that slide in there. This isn't to do with Christmas. This is just the NHS 5 Steps to Wellbeing campaign, because it's just that reminder of those 5 things help to improve overall well-being. Connection, being active, taking notice, giving, and keep learning. So just think, out of those 5 areas, what are you doing in each of those areas yourself? Is there any areas that you, I haven't been mindful in a while, what can I do to sort of bring that into into my day-to-day? It's not Christmas specific, it's just kind of day-to-day well-being tips, but it's just kind of touches on everything we're talking about today. And think about how you can apply it to the Christmas period. How can you apply that connection? How can you be active? Family walks, taking notice, being mindful in the moment, even when you're cooking. Thinking about what it is you're doing, the smells that are coming from the cooking, tastes, things like that. And is there it also makes us think about our goals. Is there anything that you want to be able to achieve or want to improve in the new year? So just have a little Google if you wanted about the campaign, the 5 Steps to Wellbeing, because it's basic, but it's really important as well. And I think we do forget that when it comes to our wellbeing. So yeah, moving on to the next slide is just a little bit about managing low mood and anxiety. So as the year comes to a close, all of us, myself included, we tend to reflect on the things that's happened. But instead of dwelling on what didn't go as planned, what you didn't achieve, think about everything that did go well, everything you did accomplish, and all the progress that you've made, because there will be absolutely tons of it. Think about it even month by month too, because we do forget things that we've done, and just have that kind of reflection, that take some time in your evening just to kind of think about the things that you've done really well, and everything that's gone right, and any kind of things that you think, well, I didn't do that, try and spin it, well, what did you do instead? What did you achieve? It's a time for enjoyment, but it's also important to do things in moderation, whether that's food, whether that's drink, whether that's activities. Just don't overwhelm yourself. So moderation is the key for this time of year. If you do notice any anxiety building, taking a moment to identify the cause, thinking about self-care activities, it can help you feel calmer and more control in the moment. It's not, I've mentioned this before, it's important not to put yourself into debt for Christmas. That does add to mental health burdens. And again, like I said before, remember the basics: eating enough, sleeping enough, simple but powerful things to support your well-being during the festive season. Lots of late nights happen around this time of year, and it's okay to be the one to say, no, I really do need to really prioritize my sleep at this time. Because taking care of yourself means you can enjoy it, and enjoy the season more effectively, in more of just a healthier way. Okay, moving on now to social media and Christmas as well.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so I mean, it links very closely, thinking about managing sort of low mood and anxiety. What impact is social media having on us at Christmas? Social media has become a massive thing. Most of us have access to it. Most of us access it every day. And like Carly said, with the reflection, we do tend to do that at the end of the year. We look back on what we've done, what we've achieved, whether it's in health, whether it's in personal life, whether it's at work, with family, friends. And social media is a time where it can be pushed in your face. We are going to be seeing reels and highlights, aren't we, of, my year in pictures, my 2025 in pictures.
It's a trend, isn't it? Every year it comes out, yeah.
It is. And you can guarantee, can't you, the ones that we see are going to be the ones where people have had these exotic holidays. They've become a fitness guru, or they've got these massive big Christmas spreads with all decorations and extravagant foods and different things. So we do tend to see the good side, don't we, or the glamorous side of social media. I mean, we are as we're becoming more aware of real life struggles, and as the media is, and as people are becoming more real and raw on social media, no doubt we will see people who are going to be honest about the years that they've had as well. But yeah, we do tend to be flooded with like the glamorous side, don't we? How good people have had years, what the good that's happened to that person. So it can quickly make you feel inadequate or inferior, like you've not achieved enough during the year. But I like to think, and it's easier said than done, because we're all, we can all get sucked in, but I like to sort of go back to that notion of, if all I did was exist, then it's still enough, because like the stars and the trees, I always think, they just exist, don't they, in their natural form without expectation. If we just exist as part of nature, as ourselves, as human beings, and we're kind and considerate, then I feel like that we've still achieved, we've still met our purpose. But yeah, it is easier said than done. Um, but yeah, like it says on the slide, this extreme wealth and extreme extravagance can, especially with parents who've got children who are going to be asking for, the latest gifts and gadgets that are so expensive, that can put pressure on parents as well to buy the must-haves. If children are going into school and the friends are having X, Y, and Z, they'll come home and say that they want those things, which is difficult. But again, it's about, like Carly said, cultivating relationships and connections, things that are going to last after the Christmas period as well. What things can we do? What moments can we share that are not just going to disappear as the decorations do, or as all the gifts get opened? What can we make last? And it's about knowing that all families are different as well. Again, because social media, we see these big family gatherings, we see family holidays, we see parents taking the children on Christmas days out. So it can quickly make you feel that if you've got if you've got dynamics in your family that can be challenging, and you've got family members that can be challenging, especially over the Christmas period, don't worry about that and think, well, my family's not perfect, because I don't think any family is perfect. Again, social media's just got this way of depicting this perfect image, but it's often not real life. And it's often not even real life for the people that are posting those pictures. We have to believe that, don't we? And remember that it's all curated. They know they're going to post this picture. They know the revenue that can be bought from these pictures and reels. So, it's about, that's their job. Think of influencers as having that as their job, rather than that being a realistic standard of our lives as well. Yeah, just that comparison, we know that comparison can steal joy. We're always told that. So try not to compare, even though it is easy. It can disturb the peace, and it can just add to that feeling of inadequacy. As the years roll by, as social media's, it's getting bigger, we do see trends that are coming in that can add to those financial pressures that we didn't even know existed before. Just small things like the matching Christmas pajamas, or the Christmas Eve boxes, the Christmas days out, to where the children have photos with like deer and in a Christmas sleigh. There's lots of things that exist now that didn't, years ago. So if it's not financially viable, or the dynamics of your health and the family situation aren't viable, don't feel under pressure to be partaking in those newly made up traditions. Again, usually for the purpose of social media. Okay. And just remember that you can take a break. Again, easier said than done. I've done it plenty of time. I've deleted apps and thought, oh, I'm not going to go on there, and then so many weeks later, I've sort of given and gone back thinking that I want to have a nosy, or I'm missing out on something. But if that's what you need to do over the Christmas period, even if it's just the week before and the week after, you know, take that time. It might just help you to feel calmer, not being bombarded with um, sales pitches and ideals. So just remember that you can come away from social media. In actual fact, we're not missing out on anything. We can get the app back after Christmas and we can catch up if we want to once all the pressure has sort of subsided. Um,
Also, Kirsty, I just want to add,
yeah.
just because it's come up into my head, I've actually got on my phone an app blocker. So I put it on my social media apps and it comes up with a message that says, "Is this important?" And it does make me think, actually, no, it's not. I don't need that. I'm trying to be more mindful and present in my family life as well. So, and it's addictive. Our phones are addictive. So, even if it's just getting yourself an app blocker, there's loads out there. And yeah, just to get that kind of message that pops up and it says, "Is this important?" And then you have like only, I think I get like 15 minutes to go on it, and then you don't get like caught up in all the scrolling and stuff. So yeah, like you said at the bottom of this slide, you've mentioned sort of taking a break, but also if you didn't feel like doing that, then think about reducing your time and if there's any ways to do that.
Yeah, exactly. And it's the same with New Year as well. I know for many people, New Year isn't as big as Christmas, but you will see the New Year posts, people getting dressed up, the drink, the food, the venues, where people are going out to eat. So the New Year can be a difficult time as well for sort of being bombarded with those images. So if you have to do it over New Year as well, then do take that break. But yeah, I don't think there's anything else on that slide. It's just whatever suits you. If you love social media around Christmas and it gives you sort of motivation, and it creates feelings of happiness, then that's absolutely fine. Um, but like Carly said, it's very addictive, and we know the nature of humans and the addictive nature that we can have. And I think in times where we're needing dopamine, um, we can keep getting it from social media, can't we? Instead of finding it in other ways through walks, through connection, through family time, through laughter, through being silly. Instead of doing all that, we tend to try and get those dopamine hits and that rush through scrolling, don't we? And we're all guilty of it. Okay. But in terms of like the mindfulness and stress management, again, always easier said than done. And it's about that you do have to have a certain amount of discipline because things like this are always you think of them and you think, oh, that would be good. I'd benefit from that. And then we kind of get swept up in life and we don't make the time for these activities, do we? That are going to bring the stress down and create more presence in the moment. So if we can, and if you are feeling stressed, try to look at some of these. We've got grounding exercises, breathing exercises, meditation, journaling and goal setting, sorry, and relaxing nature sounds. When it comes to the grounding exercises, I mean, for all of them, you can obviously go on to Google and find different methods, different techniques that you feel are going to be more suitable for you. But there's a very common grounding exercise that if you're feeling quite stressed and heightened in the moment, then you can do the 3-3-3 method, which is, try and bring yourself inward. Think of three things that you can see, then think of three things that you can hear, and then bring your attention to three of your body parts, or moving three of your body parts. So it's just about activating the senses and focusing, bringing that attention in to those three things rather than having that racing mind. But again, there's lots of different grounding techniques out there, so that it doesn't just have to be that one. That's just a very simple one. It obviously doesn't take much time. Breathing exercises. I was looking at, again, it was on social media actually, but I was looking at a lady's page who said, she's got to the age of 40, I think it was, and she realised that she'd never actually been breathing properly. Now, I know that sounds silly, but it's true. When we think about how we breathe just day to day, it's very shallow, it's very short, it's all in the chest rather than into the stomach as well. So if we can take time to think about how we're breathing, that does help to reduce stress, bring the cortisol down, activate the parasympathetic nervous system. Again, lots of different things you can find on Google, but box breathing or square breathing is a good technique that's used by a lot of people in high pressure situations, in high pressure jobs as well. And it's basically 4 steps lasting for 4 seconds. So you breathe in for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, exhale that breath for 4 seconds, wait and pause for 4 seconds, and then repeat. Okay. So yeah, that just helps to sort of manage stress and brings us back into that moment. Meditation is really good. It's got a lot of popularity over the last few years, but people forget how extremely difficult meditation is. We think that we can turn all technology off, sit in a room, be quiet, and we should be meditating, and we should be feeling this bliss and this peace of flooding in. But it doesn't work like that. This monkey brain that we all have, this chattering, it can be overpowering, and it can be very hard to clear the mind in those times. So we mustn't put pressure on ourselves. If we want to meditate, we don't want to be thinking, am I doing the right thing? Is this how this is happening? Should I be feeling this way, or shouldn't I be feeling this way? Just go with the flow. And guided meditations can be really good as well. If you're a beginner, if you're new to meditation, following a guided meditation will give you that voice to follow. It'll give you that anchor into the voice. Try to keep your attention on the voice and obviously the instructions, so that this chattering subsides a little bit. Again, it all takes discipline, all takes practice. But when you're getting started with mindfulness and stress management, if you've never even done any of these before, try not to get overwhelmed and think, well, I need to do all of them, and the more I do, the more relaxed or the more stress-free I'll be, because it probably have the opposite effect if you try and dive into every one of these when you've not done any before. So yeah, think about what looks most appealing to you, and then do a bit of research into them and find the right exercises and the right sessions that resonate with you. Journaling is always good, because it's sort of putting your feelings on paper. And relaxing nature sounds, you can find them on all like streaming sites like Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube. Not limited to those. I'm sure there are other streaming sites I don't know about. Can't mention them because I don't know about them, but I'm sure there are. But bird sounds are really good. Again, I don't know what it was that I was watching, but apparently bird sounds, nature sounds, help us to connect and bring down cortisol and like I said, activate that parasympathetic nervous system. I think there's a more primal thing going on there in the brain with nature, and that if we can hear birds and we can hear nature, I think this, like I said, this primal part of the brain assumes that like the threat is reduced. It was something to do with that anyway, but yeah, bird sounds, water sounds, and sounds of the forest can be nice as well. And just finally as well, pulling back to the social media side of things, again, coming up to January, we're bombarded, aren't we, with new year, new me slogans and attitudes, where a lot of this health and wellness will be pushed. We'll see people starting off the new year with all of these good intentions, often unrealistic as well and not sustainable. So it's just being mindful that not only do we have it over Christmas, but we will also see it in the new year. We'll see people getting into new habits, and it's all well and good and it's fine, but it's, can you manage that, and is that what you want, or are we getting swept up in it again? So just be mindful about being mindful and how you can do that. And again, just remembering that social media isn't always a true reflection of what people are doing and what people are sustaining as well. Okay. But yeah, I think that's it. Is there anything you want to add to that, Carl? The mindfulness and the stress management?
I just I always, in my sessions when I work with an individual, I always remind them that it's not easy, and it's like learning a new skill. and you have to put in practice, especially with the meditation and like you said, you will have those thoughts, that chattering, going on in your mind when you attempt maybe any of these, but trying to visualize the thoughts kind of leaving through a door, and then you try again, and it's just the practice of that which will help. But and it's all about habit stacking as well. If you want to bring it in, think about a time of day that works best for you. What's going to be the most sustainable way? Is it setting a timer? Is it setting those reminders on your phone as well to do something like this for your stress management?
Thank you. And yeah, just finally, we've got some resources and contact numbers there. We will be distributing a few bits of information after the session with things around tips for mental health and well-being, budgeting around Christmas, and then like a telephone number, resource page, support number page. But these are your basics that we often give out to people wanting support around the mental health, especially over Christmas. Samaritans is always good. 116123. That's a 24-hour helpline. And I believe just looking down that list, yeah, they're all free numbers, those are. So there's if you're struggling, like I said, financially, you've not got credit on your phones, you can still access all of those numbers. And if not for you, if you know other people that are struggling, pass those numbers on to them and let them know that they are free numbers as well. Okay.
I'm just going to be putting some things in the chat
Yeah.
if you've got any questions.
Thank you. Yeah, just finally, do we have any questions at all about what we've covered, or is there anything that anyone would like to add about, have you got any tips or techniques that you want to sort of share with the group around what you do to make your Christmas as stress-free as possible?
It's just taken a while to upload these sort of things, but they will come into the chats in a minute. So
Yeah.
they're just uploading.
Okay. Well, what I'll do is, obviously, feel free to ask any questions, but I'll leave that up as well, in case anyone does want to take a few notes while we're just on the video. But yeah, any questions at all about anything that we've covered?
And we do have a lot of resources as well. So if there's anything you can think of something you're struggling with in particular, we have loads of resources on like grounding, breathing, meditation. So please feel free to pop it in the chat and we can send that to you just directly or put it in the chat. So yeah, if there's anything you can think of, I'm just trying to get the budget planner sent through now.
But yeah, otherwise, we hope that, we wish you a Merry Christmas from AKG Health. We wish you health, peace, and happiness, however that is achieved for you. And yeah, just know that there are people out there that do want to support. There's services. Do talk to people if you're struggling. It is difficult, but do reach out to people. And yeah, just have a time. Enjoy Christmas how it looks for you. Again, just do what resonates with you, what resonates and works well for your family. And try your best, as I'm going to as well. Try not to absorb the outside noise of the media, social media, and everyone getting involved. So yeah, thank you. Let's just have a quick look. Someone's just put something in the chat. I'm just wondering if it's a question. Bear with me.
We've got no questions at the minute. We've just got some thank you. So yes, lovely. Well, thank you everyone for attending, and hopefully we'll see you again next year.
Yes.
And have a wonderful Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everyone. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.